Entering into the doorway of the last of the summer eclipses in the highly charged zone of Sagittarius, the moon becomes full at 19 degrees, where it's partially eclipsed in a gateway of change, awakening a dialogue of what remains, what needs to change, and the work that must be completed. Welcome to In the Name of the Cosmos. My name is Siri Prakash and I welcome you to my YouTube channel. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at the energies of the eclipse, what it will awaken and the lessons that it will deliver, how it's going to impact us sign by sign, and then we'll take a look at how we can better understand the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius that's been the initiator of so much change and so much upheaval. So not only is this the last of the summer eclipses, this is the last of the eclipses that will occur on this axis of Sagittarius and Gemini. It also ends this cycle of this planetary pileup where we've had a significant amount of planets kind of converging together in one part of the sky where it's really made very intense and very hard lessons for us. So we'll see through the middle of the month where the planets start to split up in even more. So Jupiter at the end of June, on the very last day, moved back and retrograded back into his own sign, separating from Saturn. And then we'll see on the 12th of July, Mercury will go direct, and then on the 15th, the sun will move into the sign of Cancer. So the energies start to open up, and this is a good sign for us where we start to see through the summer where the energy starts to soften, where the lessons become a little bit more easy and a little bit more clear in how we integrate them. Now, when the sun switches into Cancer, it's actually great because it breaks the Kalasarpa yoga, this intensity of the planets. This has also been creating a pressure for us. But until then, we have some heavy lessons that will come with this eclipse, particularly those who are living in the United States. This actually is a very heavy eclipse for the United States. Even though it's a partial eclipse, that doesn't diminish the effects that it has. So with the moon being sandwiched between Jupiter and Ketu, Jupiter in his own sign is not always a good thing because he's free to act out and do whatever he wants to do. And in the sign of Sagittarius, he's a bit of a fanatic. He's a bit of an activist. He's a bit of a preacher, like giving his sermon about what he thinks is right, becomes very demanding. So he's still a benefic planet, but in this place he has no restriction in how he acts out. And since he's connected with Ketu, yes, in this zone that has all of this disturbance of energy, and he is retrograde himself, he's unstable in his actions. So what I see from this and looking at the planetary configurations is that there's a lot of unrest that we will see in the U.S. continue, and it will come to a head on this celebration of the 4th of July, where we'll see a lot of acting out at this time because people will feel the need to take it to the streets once again and say, this is not real freedom, this is not real democracy, this is not real truth. Because this year of 2020 has really been about bringing our consciousness as beings on the planet to match the change in the time, right? So these planets have been going through and really bringing out the underbelly that has been suppressed and that we have failed to look at honestly and with integrity, where the beings on this planet, both human and animal, have not been taken care of and not been respected. How the leadership has really failed to keep the haves and the have-nots really separated at a distance. And this is a big shift of what these planets are bringing in, because in this age of Aquarius, it's really bringing in this time of transparency, this time of equality, right? Also, we're in this year of the 4 where we have to stay in the heart. So it's also bringing in this challenge of us remaining in our heart and not in the state of fear. Because whenever the lesson that comes for us, whether it's regarding the planetary positions or numerologically, as they're both very intertwined, we see that we're always charged and we're always confronted with the opposite, because it wants to test you to see if you're ready to receive it. So in order to receive it, you have to meet the challenge, right? The universe wants to give us right? And it wants us to succeed. This is why it's giving us these tests right now. So make no mistake, we're in very sophisticated times, but we need to remain in our higher state of understanding and our higher frequency of integration, and not one of this primordial and very primal fear-based zone. Because we all have within ourselves to really come through this quite successfully. And in 2021, there's a great amount of energy that's coming to us. Now, another thing I wanted to mention to you is that whenever planets are in their final degrees, as Ketu is, right? So he's in Mula nakshatra right now. And Mula nakshatra is this place that's owned by Niriti, the sister of Lakshmi. So it's this place like where it has to unearth all of this like rot and all of this death and this destruction, right? And the story with Lakshmi is, in order to get to her, you have to go through her sister. So you have to go through this destruction, and you have to go through this significant challenge of facing what you're most afraid of in order to get the gain of Lakshmi, to get the blessings of Lakshmi, right? So Ketu is continually like, he's the retrograde king going backwards, and he's in this state of being at the very end of the degrees of the sign of Sagittarius. And this is key. So when planets in their transit, when they're in their last degrees, they always then make a real kick of what lessons that they have before they leave. This is so true for the nodes of the moon. When they're in their very last degrees of the sign before they change is where they start to really activate the most disturbance. Ketu's also in what's known as a Gandanta point. So he's crossing from the fire zone of Sagittarius into the cold water of Scorpio. And this is also very intense. So he's going to, through the moon, right, going to activate some real unrest that I see that's going to come through in the U.S. once again. I think the U.S. is the place that's going to be the most significantly impacted by this eclipse. Now, the nakshatra that the moon is being infused with, right? So the place that amplifies it is Purva Ashara Nakshatra. Now, Purva Ashara Nakshatra, it's ruled by the Apas, right? But this is also something that's misunderstood often, because often the people think of water and they think of gentleness, but water can be very destructive. It actually can break through stone and wear things down. So it brings in this quality of force and action. It's this place that wants and desires victory. So this is also where I see that the U.S. will have some challenges through this eclipse cycle, where it's this demand of being heard, this demand of making the needs met to the people to receive. Now, in the axis, we also must take a look at from this eclipse is that we look to Gemini, who's hosting Rahu, of the pair of the nodes. It's hosting the sun, and it's hosting a very strong and retrograde Mercury. So Mercury, our thinking, logical mind, and our moon, our emotional mind, both being significantly impacted by this eclipse, by some very heavy forces, is really also going to make some irrational behavior, some heightened emotion, this hypersensitivity that will occur through this eclipse. And then we look to Mars, who's looking at Rahu, Sun, and Mercury. It just makes for a lot of demand. So I would say to those who are in the United States to really just do take care. And if you're going to have the celebration of your 4th of July for your state of independence, maybe you want to do this very privately and with your close families. I would not suggest being out at this time, because it's a place and a time that I see of a lot of unrest occurring. Now, July is a month that we're really in this tension of the future and the past, right? So there's this pressure of this birthing of what is between the future and the past. And we're still very unclear of what has occurred. You know, we're still very traumatized as a planet and as global people of what has really happened to us. And there'll be parts of us that will never be clear about this, because it's just been so challenging for us to really comprehend what happened. And it's going to take us probably 10 years, when I looked ahead to the charts through the years, where we'll have more clarity. It's going to take us a significant amount of time. But in 2020, there's light that comes to us. It does get better, but we have work to do through the end of the year. And the end of the year is also going to have 2 significant eclipses, but it really closes this door. And by September, the energies really start to shift. So don't give up hope. You got to keep up. What's important now is to have compassion for yourself, have compassion for others who may not be where you are in your thinking. Have compassion for, not be lazy. That's the key. You can't be lazy. You still have to be active, and you still have to be present, and you still have to be disciplined. You can't escape too much. You have to be compassionate with knowing where you are, but still remain diligent. This is really important right now. Remain diligent, because the seeds that we sow right now are what's going to come to fruit in 2021. This is not a time where we're taking a nap and just pulling the covers over our head. This is a time where we take cold showers, we do our nervous system work, we exercise our body, and we get out there to try and make change in our life, right? We make change in what we're doing with our life, because what we do every day, how we control and think with our mind, how we utilize our energy, how we direct our thoughts, how we serve people, all matters. These eclipses are markers of change, and they do it by person, but we're working as a collective. So we all need to make the effort to make change, and we all need to make the effort to have compassion, because it's an extraordinary time. This time of cancel culture and just this swarming on top of people to push them out rather than really try to integrate them into really have a nurturing space to really open up and develop, to really change their mind is really important right now. We don't need to smash everybody. This is something that's really significant for this lesson of the summer. Now let's take a look sign by sign to see what energies will be awakened for you. Now this is just a general overview, of course, your individual chart, the planets that are in your natal chart, and what dasha you're running, and the quality of the planets and how they rule is significant for you to know. But this is just going to give you an idea of what will awaken, where you can just attune your energy to, so you can make the most benefit out of the eclipse, because there's benefit to be had. So for Sagittarius, we're going to start with you. So this is in your first house of self, this house of your outer projection to the world, how you're integrating what you want to transmute to the world. So your ruler has returned home, and your 8th house ruler is in your first house. So, and being eclipsed. So here we can see that you can feel a little bit emotional, a little bit nostalgic, a little bit sort of like empty-handed, feeling like, okay, I don't have the energy to really sustain and to hold myself. I'm feeling a bit lonely in this moment. But just wait a few days, because when you're ruling planet starts to really unpack his bags, he'll start to juice you up and give you some energy. He will also aspect to your house of relationships, so you'll start to feel a little bit more juiced up. So just be patient with that. Now for Scorpio. So Scorpio, this is happening in your 2nd house, your 2nd house of what you value, what you are taking in, how you're communicating things, right? This is important for you, as it is your 9th house ruler in your 2nd house. So it's really this putting together of things that are of value to you, and how you're employing your teachings in with your life and in with the connection with your loved ones. This is significant for you. It's actually a good eclipse. The only thing I see with it is that when I was looking to your chart, that this also makes a little indication that you could have problems with your eyes. So you want to just make sure that you take care of your eyes, do things that are good for your eyes, take pause with looking at the computer, look away at things that have longer distance, like just take care of your eyes, because your eyes will be challenged with this eclipse. So it can also mean that you just need to look within. So for Libra, this is in your 3rd house. So your 3rd house of courage and your 3rd house of new passions, right? So here you can feel with Libra, I feel that you're actually feeling a lot of pressure. So for Libras and Tauros, I think that you're actually both under a lot of pressure. And I think that here you feel like a little bit like your nervous system just can't hold on anymore. Like you just have too much tension inside of you. So I would suggest to you, as well as to the Taurus when I get to that sign, is that you exercise. Because when you exercise, you actually help to draw down and give space to your mind to actually think and process better, right? So it's this connection with our own effort of our sweat and engaging a more dynamic movement. And that makes automatically you connect with your breath, right? To really just move and to really just get yourself out. This will help you a lot because I think that the Libras are really under a lot of pressure. And so I think that you need to move your body and not just be so neurotic in your own head and not be so neurotic in your own emotion, Libra. This is what I would think for you with this eclipse, because you're just going to feel sort of like, oh, I can't hold it. Virgos. So Virgo, this is in your 4th house and your ruling planet is strong in the 10th house. I think this is actually quite good for you. Although I think that you can feel like you need to search and look for more what is really giving you more energy for your passion projects, more energy for your nourishment, how you drive this nourishment, connecting with your career and with the people that you love. So I actually think for Virgos, this is quite nice for you. It's a good eclipse for you, really, to just take time and take a moment of how you connect these two together. Now for Leos, this is in your 5th house of what you create. Your house of dharma, your house of past life efforts. It's the place of children, but children are also projects. So for those who don't have children, it's also these places where you birth the things that you love. So here your 12th house ruler is in your 5th. And I think here you can feel like maybe there's a bit of a stifling with the energies of creating something, about really where you just want to connect with people and really connect with those you love and feel close with those people that you love to kind of get your community and your tribe around you. This will be a focus for you for the next few weeks. And for Cancer, so your ruler is in your 6th house, eclipsed. So for Cancer, this is something with you where you can feel a bit of a challenge with your coworkers or in your working environment. Perhaps you feel that you don't have enough resources in your work or resources in your life. You can feel like your colleagues are not really hearing you, or that your boss is not really hearing you, or that you're having challenge to really bring your creative projects or your work projects into fruition, but you just need to give it a little bit of time, because once the sun enters into your house in July, you'll start to feel a little bit more energized, a little bit more like zhuzhed up, with also like your ruler will also be there for the new moon in July. So it's actually, you have a better time that's coming to you, Cancer, because this like 6th house is not the best place for the moon to be, because the moon is gentle there. For Gemini, so Gemini, you've had it very hard because you've had Rahu in your 1st house. That's created a lot of instability, a lot of chaos, a lot of like emotional turmoil. Should I go here? Should I go there? What should I do? And this and that. Just bringing all that kind of like crazy energy into your nervous system. And so thank you, Gemini, for taking the hit for us. I think that with your ruling planet in your 1st house, it's actually been quite good for you. Even though he's retrograde right now, I think that Virgos and with Gemini people, they know their ruling planet, they know the energy of it. So it actually just indicates for you in the eclipse that here you can be a little bit like frustrated with your partners happening in your 7th house, and not just your intimate partners, but the people who are around you in your everyday. You can feel really frustrated with him and you're feeling like, I need some distance. I don't have enough distance. I'm feeling a little bit pressed by them. Like this, you can feel in this eclipse cycle. But again, once your ruling planet moves direct on the 12th, you'll start to feel a little bit more relaxed, because there's this tension with you in your interrelationships right now during its retrograde cycle, and the eclipse will just open that up and bring awareness to that for you. Taurus, so this is in your 8th house. So like I said, Taurus, as I said to the Libras, I think that you both are really suffering at this point. I think there's a lot of confusion and a lot of like unclarity about what to do. I think there's a lot of spinning out, a lot of neurosis, a lot of nervous tension. And so I think for you, I would say exercise is really good to help kind of bring the energy down from your mind and down from your heart, to really make some dynamic movement in your body, really bringing sweat so that you can really calm down and get this charge off of you. I would also say for you, the Taurus, and also for the Libra, salt showers and salt baths are really good. Just getting in some Epsom salt or putting some salty water in a bottle and showering with it helps to take off the stagnant energy. But there's just like a bit of activation, of unclarity, a spinning out, not really knowing and feeling undirected in the moment. It will shift for you. It will shift for you actually in the end of August. It gets a little bit better for you. Aries, this is happening in your 9th house. And for you, Aries, it's really going to be a time of where you need to connect with your roots of your spirituality, of your spiritual practice, whatever that means for you, even if just doing the gardening is your spiritual practice, but you need to get with it, because this is something that's key for you through the end of the year to be successful and to be sustained in your success. Is actually having a place and giving your head to something that's greater than you, recognizing something that's greater outside of you. This is really important, and this is what the eclipse is really going to awaken for you. For Pisces, so for Pisces, for you, your ruling planet is gone back to its 10th house, but it's in a very tough zone until the 3rd week of September. But you will start to feel by mid-July an energetic push in your career and in your career efforts. So this is actually quite good for you. And with Pisces, because you're deep and because you're also able to be kind of in this space of the unknown, this eclipse for you is not so significant. I don't see a negative impact on your career with it. I see it actually as an advantage for you because you're getting strength there. It's actually coming to you. For Aquarius, this is your 11th house of social connections, communications, and with receiving benefits. For Aquarius, I think that there's some relations that will come and some relations that will go. You'll start to recognize in this next 2-week period of who's remaining and who has to be let go. And it will be done without this emotional sense. It will be done with this sense of just recognizing what is not working for you. And this is something you're not going to feel terrible about, but you'll want to try and fill that void quickly. But really, it's about you becoming individualized. This is really a big task for you in this life, in any case, is for you to become individualized, to really stand for yourself, right? So this is really important for you. So I think the eclipse is going to open up, not good benefits with money, but it will bring in some good benefits to recognize the gains of the connections that you have and which ones you need to let go of to make room for new. Now for Capricorn. So this is occurring in your 12th house, and your ruling planet Saturn is in your 1st house. So here it's actually nice. I think it's actually nice. Maybe you'll escape and you'll be with a partner. Maybe you have a little rendezvous, something. It's actually juicy for you. It's a quite good eclipse for you into your interrelationships, and you'll find pleasure in secretive things and find pleasure in enjoying kind of like hidden bed pleasures. This is really what it's going to bring in for you. And perhaps there's a discovery about your hidden pleasures that you're thinking, I need to really explore this more. So it brings in a more daring quality, a bit more zhuzh into your sense of pleasure, right? Because you have a lot of pressure with Saturn in your 1st house of like, okay, let's do. And for this eclipse moon, you'll really be like looking at how I can escape and some pleasures and how I can really enjoy myself. How can I connect with those? And maybe it's a discovery of the pleasures that you've been hiding. I thank you very much for joining me in the video today. If you have any questions, please comment below. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate all of you who have come to watch my channel. Please check out my video that I made on Rahu and Ketu, the eclipse makers. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great eclipse season. Satanam.